What exciting times we are in. 3.0 is right around the corner and we are standing right now at a fork in the road, last patch of 2.7, 2.x, and a decision will have to be made. Do we want to just stay put, ignore the meta that's coming, the changes that's coming in 3.x, or perhaps do we want to plan in advance characters that maybe last a little bit longer so that we can plan our pools, build our accounts for the long run as well? Now that's what this video is for, and as always, the first thing that I want you to know is change is coming in 3.x. In many ways possible, but the two things that has already shown its case is one, there's a massive new lineup of so many different characters. We have remembrance characters, we have awesome cool characters like the ones that you see on screen, and also we know that meta is changing. Now there are some early innings reminding us that maybe Ice, Quantum, and other characters might be important as well. For example, we see this in the sneaky truth of the current MOC 11 cycle. We did a video on that on the channel. But one thing's for sure is if we take whatever we have currently known in the game, like the advantage of Honkai Star Rail is we have a past 1 year, 6 months plus of experience to tap on. And the biggest thing that you need to know is although history never repeats itself, the same thing never happens again, but it often rhymes. And that's what this video is all about. We want to take a look at things that have happened already and predict things that will be about to happen, of course. But first, let's give a special shout out to a special guest for supporting this video. You guys know I'm a massive fan of auto battle in turn-based games, and this one is directly up my alley. I won't waste your time, I have something extra special for you in this video. It's not only a cross-platform game and turn-based as well, meaning you can play on mobile or PC, but right now, there's having a Christmas event going on that runs from the 5th of December 2024 to the 15th of January 2025, and within this period, you have a chance of winning real-life prizes like $5,000 for your Christmas shopping, gaming consoles, smartphones, and even $100 Amazon gift cards or other in-game loot as you want. Simply, I'm just like auto-battling this amazing stuff. What do you have to do to win these rewards? It's simple. Simply download Raid Shadow Legends using our link in the video description below. Very important, you have to use our link. Within 24 hours, download the game and play the game, and then head over onto the website, which I'll link everything in the video description below. Enter your Raid ID and voila, you have a chance to win now. Importantly, I really love that this is a turn-based game with amazing auto battle and even scratches the itch of like PvP modes if I feel like it. Otherwise, these games have very frequent updates if you don't care too much about PvP. Amazing PvE, social clan experience too. If you have time, want to try a new game out and a chance to win cash, wonderful chance, join our clan as well as EODGamer with bracket clan tag EODG. And when you're in the game, use the promo code MonkeyKing to get a free legendary for yourself so you can catch up faster as well. Promo code is only until January 7th, so be quick if you want to use it. On sign up, you will also get a huge starter pack with a free epic grizzled jowl from the Dwellers faction, and at level 15, you will get another starter pack with epic Zagala from the Orcs. Thank you so much Raid Shadow Legends for supporting this video, and now let's get back into the content. Memory lane, walking down the entire memory lane, 2.x has gone by. Black Swan Sparkle now feels like a really long time ago, but they were the first banner, and then subsequently, we had many character releases. Aventrine, Akirion, Robin Boot Hill, and so on and so forth. All the many different characters coming into the game, and right now we are at this state. But one thing that you need to know, and you ask yourself, is out of all of these many characters, how many are there? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 15 different limited characters. Some of you might have been forced to skip a few, some of you might have gotten more than you might have wanted, but at the end of the day, there were two major things that happened, and that is there was a broad meta that played, and also some sort of niche, depending on where you're from, how you pronounce it, formed in between. The two main things, first let's talk about broad meta. We had styles that on go for the entire of like 2.x, which is Fei Xiao, Akirion, and Firefly. Now these are just representations of the broader styles of follow attacking, hyper carry debuff oriented styles, which is really dominated by Akirion, as well as break Firefly team compositions that are about. These are just like the representations of the three styles, the DPS in charge of them. At the same time, we also had niche that formed in between. Sometimes they were better, sometimes not so great, and that is your DOT aspect, or perhaps even your Yunli. Sometimes she's really very good, sometimes she may not be as generalistic across all styles, depending on the content, depending on the style, whether it's physical weakness as well and stuff like that. So this is in hindsight. Looking at the past, Hoyoverse wants to go through a broad meta of like main things to focus on, and then at the same time, they'll sell you things like niches in between so that people want to pull as many characters as they can. So lumping like all the characters that we have in the whole chart that we saw the timeline into the broad styles, we can kind of see that the ones that outperform were the ones that fit in as many teams as they could, super generalistic like Robin, Lingsha, Aventrine, which played into many of the broad styles. Then we have other characters who maybe as we go down from top to bottom now, we have the little bit more nicheness of like Jiao Qiu, who plays into Akirion teams, a little bit of DOT teams when they are a little bit more relevant as we saw in the recent DOT cycle in the pure fiction game mode. Sparkle as well, who is mostly like Akirion E2 kind of supporter, which is a little bit more niche. And then of course recently Rapper came about as a Firefly competitor or maybe even a collaborator also, and Boothill and Jade also, who have a little bit more niche but are still not too bad in the overall meta. So this is what we see, but more importantly than that, when we look at all these characters, we need to rewind a little bit back, because what happens to our 2.x character, which a lot of you might have started in Panacony as well, whatever happened so far doesn't really tell us too much because the length of the runway isn't that long. But we have a living example in the 1.x characters. How did these characters do in 2.x? This will tell us a lot more about how the 2.x characters would revisit and how would they perform in 3.x, and even more maybe the 1.x in 3.x. But let's take a look step by step. We have many different characters, right? Don't even need to like go one by one in all of them. We have from 1.0 all the way to 1.6, 14 different characters. 14 in 1.x, 15 in 2.x. Maybe we'll also have around 14 to 15 in 3.x, and that's when we predict where a new 4.x is coming. I don't know, just thinking aloud here. But at the end of the day, not all these characters outperform. Some of them did better than others. Some of them did like a lot poorer than others as well. This really walked down a memory of lane, right? If any of you have been here since like 1.0, 1.1 in the early patches, leave a comment below. Shout out to you guys for sticking around the channel so long as well. Really appreciate it that you guys show support. But okay, so survivors in 1.x, this is where it comes very, very important, right? Because these guys were released like 1 year ago, and right now they are still like kind of okay-ish, which means it tells us these are the things that we need to look out for character longevity in the long run, the long horizon. So broad meta, as we talked about, the niches that are around, these are the states we already mentioned. So who are the ones that are still relevant from the 1.x series? It's a bit unfair because Raimei came in the last patch, Dr. Ratio also came kind of like in the last patch, but these two are still relevant with the follow-up team compositions, with Break, Topaz and Nambi, of course, scaled very well with time. But at the same time, you have the defensive characters like Ho Ho and Fu Xuan, who are not top tier meta nowadays, but they are still usable. People still can play them, and they are still like not too bad. Not the best sustained defensive units right now in the game state. The 2.x characters fare a lot better, but the 1.x ones are still usable and still very, very worth considering too. And of course, you have a little bit more niche characters, but they are still very usable nowadays, like Kafka, who is like when DOT is relevant. For example, in the recent Pure Fiction, you have Argenti, who deals very well with physical weaknesses in the Pure Fiction game mode where you need him, Silver Wolf for some mono quantum teams when you need, and other weakness implanting. And Jing Yuan, of course, came back into the game with, of course, the patch Sunday. He is going to have a second revival, third revival. I don't know how many revivals he actually had, to be honest. This man just keeps winning in this game, Honkai Star Rail. But at the end of the day, if we plot the charts, and the boxes are a little bit hard to see, it's on the bottom right here of each characters. I put in yellow the characters who were decent, who had a little bit of niche, maybe not the top of cream of the crop, but one thing you need to notice is it's generally heavier towards the end of the patch. They tend to be still relevant. So like Ranmei, Dr. Ratio, these characters are a little bit relevant, and you see like Ho Ho or Argenti, these characters are also pretty stable by themselves. They are also like quite usable still. And then as it goes earlier into the patch, if you are a DPS in nature, you kind of suffer a little bit more. And if you are a support, you might have a chance of still being relevant. Of course, there are some which are a little bit further away from being usable nowadays. For example, like Luo Ca, who's relatively supportive. It's very unfortunate because we have a lot of more better units right now, and his playstyle doesn't really suit the entirety of the 2.x meta. But that being said, does this mean, or maybe this means, we will see a similar trend here when we rate our top 7 characters for Powercreep? Maybe the back half over here, towards the end, will be a little bit more relevant in terms of 3.x. That's just food for thought, some things to consider. Whereas your earlier ones, maybe it'll be a bit more subjective. If they are DPSs in nature, maybe they might not fare as well. That's at least what it's telling us. But without ado, let's jump in. And I always like to do a top-down approach when we talk about power creep. So we have done this video a couple of times throughout the ways, throughout 1.0, throughout 2.x. We have given you a guidance of the characters that perform better in our thought process. But in this place, I think what is useful now, especially with so much uncertainty going on in the future, like what teams will appear, what meta will appear, the best way to do it is look at a top-down approach. We look at all the different styles that Hoyoverse could potentially bring, which means we cover broad meta styles as well as niches that could pop up. So by having this list of characters, I want to tackle all the boxes and as many characters as you can. So we have a very, very holistic account ready to take us on. Of course, don't take it to heart. Not every one of you might have my top 7, but I think this top 7 will add value to a lot of people and most of you as well going to 3.x. We can revisit this one in 6 months time, maybe to the end of 3.x and see how the ratings perform. And let me know as well as we are going through this list, your thoughts and your personal list. I would like to hear them as well. We are all gamers. I would like to hear the community's response too. But let's jump in. The 9 teams. We are no stranger to this concept anymore, but any of you watching this video for the first time, there are mainly rotating styles in terms of these 9 team competitions, and specifically the buffs in all the different game modes. You will always realize it falls into one of these 8 categories. And Summon is the new one. Summon and Remembrance, I just lump it under one because there's a lot of uncertainty right now, but it's one style that we have to prepare for since we know about it. My top pick, right? Without further ado, 3, 2, 1. You want to make a guess what it's going to be? I have here my top pick, and I think it's really the best play for the future. So my thought process is with the knowledge that we have, and since it's also the banner character as well, I think it's very, very useful to point out my personal thoughts. I think Sunday is clearly one of the best picks for playing into 3.x. Ronmei was excellent for the entirety of 2.x, and she is a very strong character that played into the break meta, which practically didn't exist when she was still around. Sunday is very, very similar. He plays into a summon team competitions, which practically does not exist other than for the fact of like Jingyuan kind of thing, as a hyper carry Jingyuan's kind of style. But he does play into many different categories, especially a hyper carry summon remembrance kind of team composition. Could be very interesting, and I think he's going to be very critical and probably the best way to play and the character that will perform the best throughout 3.x out of all of the 1.x, 2.x characters, and it's my personal top pick. Second place, no stranger here. This is his sibling, the Miss Chumney Durf over here, Robin. I think Robin is an anchor for follow-up attacking teams. Maybe I would really call them in like second to 7. I think it's like you could go either way depending on what style you want, but first is by a large mile. For Robin, very, very clear. She definitely is one of the best follow-up attacking buffers. She pushes the entire team as well. She does decent damage on the side, can run hyper carry. I see a lot of synergies in this character. Not much more needs to be explained, but I think she definitely does skill very well. Her kit is very generalistic as well. A little bit of damage, a little bit of team utility buffing, very, very solid, and follow-up attacking as a hitch in case the niche pops up a bit more. Even if it goes completely irrelevant, I'm sure it will come up from time to time, and she plays into so many different styles, right? She plays into different styles as well, not just purely follow attacking. If you need a team-wide push, you've got it. Number 3, this is Year of the Snake. Want to make a guess? Year of the Snake is really playing on 2 things. One is the law of like Chinese New Year in real life in China, Lunar New Year. It's the Year of the Snake next year, and Imbibitor Lunar was released in the time of the Year of the Dragon, and this character here, Jade, is probably going to be in 3rd in the pecking order of how I present it in this video, but she's definitely probably going to be one that resistant to power creep in this video because of one, not only is she a snake embodiment in the character, which is very, very nice for lore. At the same time, she's also a play on erudition. I personally believe my thought process is Herta. The Herta is going to be like the equivalent of Akirion that we might see. And if that's the case, double erudition, maybe if they play like multiple erudition characters, could be quite interesting. And that would probably be my pick. I think that Jade works really well. Not only that, she plays into HP decay, which relies on any character in future wanting to sap some HP. It could gain like strength and stuff. She plays there too. She plays decently into follow-up attacking, and characters that want to move fast and often, she outperforms there as well. She likes those team compositions. Jade will be my pick for in the 3rd place to celebrate the Year of the Snake and play on erudition being great. The Herta bet, if you would excuse me. But number 4. Now this one is a special one. This unit is the top survivor of all the characters that we have seen in 1.x. My top pick for 1.x characters. You want to make a guess? You guys have any preference? All your 1.x characters, if you need a reminder, these are the list of like 1.x characters over here. Who will be your top pick, right? Is a tricky one. Who is going to be the highest? But okay, let me see. My top pick is going to be Ho. Now, I think that Ho is going to be excellent because she provides a lot of attack. She provides a lot of energy as well. In a game where energy is pretty much almost everyone has it outside of like maybe 2-3 characters. Very, very universal, very generic. She buffs attack as well, which is great for if you're a crit, if you're a DOT, your break, everyone uses it. She's likely not going to be like the best in terms of like top pick, wow, best support ever, but she's never going to be too far from the top. She has a lot of cleanse in her entire kit as well. And if you believe that energy is going to be more relevant, more important maybe, because of people with a lot of energy costs, Ho is going to be definitely one to think about, going to be very interesting. She plays into hyper carry teams because she buffs energy into your DPS. One of the only ones that does that from a support defensive role. She buffs attack for your DPS. DOT because she buffs attack percentage, great for your DOT characters as well. And HP decay because abundance characters outperform in team compositions that want to take damage or lose HP so that they can heal it up. Abundance characters are generally the thing that outperforms in specifically HP decay teams compared to preservation characters. You guys know Jing Liu and preservation characters, right? Not the best out of all of them. They do prefer a little bit more of abundance healing type characters. And that will be my character in the top survival spot. Versatility does breed consistency. Number 5. Hindsight in 2020. This was our recent top pick as well. Back then, people will say it was a very strange pick, but I think my conviction for this unit is very, very clear. He's my top pick for a debuff, fulfilling the debuff role out of all of the debuff characters in the game. There's so many good ones as well. But I think going to be very strong is Jiao Qiu. We have seen a little bit of his performance in DOT teams in the recent Pure Fiction DOT mode, where especially his Fire DOT, just a little bit. He doesn't do massive damage, but the fact that he applies some debuffs does help him contribute a lot to the team. Doesn't need to do the biggest numbers, he at least applies it, and that is something worth mentioning already. Very, very strong character, very generalistic, and any enemy that enters the field, however many they are, it's also going to benefit him a lot. He plays in the hyper carry Akirion teams, other hyper carry teams, because he buffs a lot of team-wide damage in terms of output that they do. And of course, debuff champion here, very, very strong, good amounts of debuff. And this is probably going to be my top pick for debuff units out of the many there are. Unfortunately, we only can pick one. I try to pick one for every category, at least to be fair to the rest of them. Next one, number 6, best in slot for skill points. No surprise, right? I think it's kind of intuitive for this one. Top pick for debuff. My goodness, what am I writing? Top pick for skill points rather. This is probably my top pick, and that is going to be over here, Sparkle. I think that Sparkle is one of the characters that is going to be a little bit more niche, but if you have a need for skill points, she's still the only one that increases the amount of skill point maximum that you can have from 5 to more than 5. The only character at that. Anything that requires like characters that use skill points, the more skill points you use, the more damage you do. Right now in the game, we only have really like Imbibitor Lune who drinks it up, but in future, maybe they might release more. Again, the ocean is so wide, we have to keep our thoughts for as wide as possible. Some things to consider too. Hyper carry teams, we of course have her there as well. She's really similar to Sunday, very, very strong, a lot of skill points. She can even be played in like hyper carry teams together with like Sunday and stuff, as we've seen, together with Akirion E2 as well. And yikes. Over there, we also have her in fast and often team compositions, which is because she buffs the team's movement, and how many characters generally can use dance, the light cone to help push up the entirety of the team. Now, you guys realize, looking at these 9 boxes, there is one missing. Break, right? Now, I have thought really, really long and hard. There are so many good break characters. We have Ron Mei, we have Fucc, and of course, we have the last one, which is Ling Sha. All of these 3 characters are really good, but if I were to pick like one of them, I want something that plays into the future as well, which I think we are going towards. At the same time, less competition within each other. And this is again probably my most debatable, which is why I want you guys to share your opinions. And if you have found this video insightful, you like the sharing as well, you like this format, leave me a comment below, like, comment, subscribe for more such future content. And my personal number 7 top pick for Brick, again, I think, and it can go any way, but I have to name one, right? Which I think is going to outperform 3.x, we can revisit this. I think my top pick is going to be Lingsha. I think Lingsha out of the sustain slot will likely survive the longest because it's probably one of the less sexy stuff to sell in that sense, because who wants to sell you another support that buffs break, right? You already have one limited one. But a unit, for example, like Fucc came in, which might be an alternative for Runmei, is something worth considering. She plays very nicely into break team compositions. She plays very nicely also in follow-up. HP decay because she's an abundance character, and she also has a summon. Anything that the more summons you have, the more damage your team does, she definitely benefits from as well. And I can't avoid these benefits. I think she's likely going to probably scale well with time, especially if we see more importance of summons. She's still the only summon healer unit, defensive unit in the game, which is worth my top pick for Brick. At this point, of course, the question then remains is, how long does meta take to shift, right? How long does meta exactly take to shift? How long from the formation to when it gets obsolete? And if you want to know more of such content, check out this video right here. It's titled Change is Coming, What You Need to Know in Honkai Star Rail. I'll leave it in the end screen, but thank you guys again so much for watching this video.
And don't forget to download Raid Shadow Legends with our link or QR code that you see on screen or in the video description. Thank you guys again so much for watching. See you in the next video.